Hi, this is David McCann for Elementor 360. Welcome to another 360 review. In this video, I'm going to look at 4 options for creating a table of contents with Elementor. It makes sense to add a table of contents to medium or long-form posts. There are 3 main reasons for adding this feature. 1, it's a convenience for the reader to be able to jump to a particular section of the post. 2, it's helpful for accessibility purposes as it can be used by a screen reader for navigation. And 3, it's beneficial for SEO as it provides a hierarchical structure to the content that page crawlers can process. The Elementor team, as well as several of the add-on makers, appreciate the benefits of a table of contents, and a widget is included in Elementor Pro, Essential Add-ons for Elementor, PowerPack Elements, and Ultimate Add-ons for Elementor. I'll do a walkthrough and comparison of these 4 options. All of them generate a table of contents from the use of heading tags on the page. I created a test site using the free Page Builder Framework theme, and I installed Elementor, Elementor Pro, Essential Add-ons for Elementor, Essential Add-ons for Elementor Pro, PowerPack Elements, and Ultimate Add-ons for Elementor. I created a starting page in Elementor that has some H2 headings and content, as well as some H3 headings and content. And then I also added a notes section, and ideally I'd like to exclude this from the table of contents. I then duplicated this starting page and made a page for Elementor Pro, one for Essential Add-ons, one for PowerPack, and one for Ultimate Add-ons. Let's start with the Elementor Pro version. I'll edit with Elementor and then search for Table of Contents. And here it is. So I'll drop that in. And here we have our default table of contents. Over here in the content settings, you can set the title, or you can pull it dynamically from the database. You can pick which heading the table of contents title will use, and you can make a list of heading tags that are included. You can specify a container if, for example, you're including the table of contents on a page that has other content that shouldn't be included. You can set whether you want the marker to be numbers or bullets. And if you set bullets, you can pick an icon or you can turn them off. Under additional options, you have a word wrap option. You have the option to allow the box to be minimized. And you can set the icon for opening and closing the box. You can also set which sizes you would like the table of contents to open by default as minimized. So for example, here it's set for tablet and below. You have the option for a hierarchical view, which is where you have these indentations. And you have the option to hide the sub-items by default. Now, I said that we wanted to exclude the notes. So to do that, we have to give this heading a CSS selector. So to do that, we go down to this heading, we go to the Advanced tab, and we'll type in a CSS ID, and then we will go back to the table of contents, and under Exclude, we'll enter that heading, and you can see that it removed it from the list. If we want to look at styling options, there's an option for a background color, a border width, radius, for padding, for height, for box shadow. You can set some options for the header, and you can set some options for the list itself. For example, you could make the active heading be underlined. Let's take a look and see how this looks by default on mobile. By default it starts as collapsed, which is nice. And now let's go preview this page. Here's our table of contents. You can see it says we're on the first section. That got underlined. When we get to the second section, that gets underlined. So that's nice. You can see where you are as you're going along. The second option is Essential Add-ons. Let's open that in Elementor. And they do things a little bit different. It's not a widget, it's an extension. So to activate the table of contents, you go to Settings, and then turn on Table of Contents with this toggle. One of the options is to enable the table of contents globally. And if you do that, then you have the option to show it for all posts and pages, or all posts, or all pages. You have the option to specify the title for the table of contents, but there's no option to pull it dynamically from the database. You can set which header tags are going to be picked up, whether to have some of them collapsed, whether to stop word wrap, to auto-collapse the table of contents, i.e. when it shows it's closed to start. You have the option to hide it on mobile, and then you can set the offset for when it shows. So for example, if I scroll down, you can see that it comes into view, and we have it auto-collapse to start. And if you click on it, then you see the table of contents. It's nice, it has this little separator here. I don't see a way to exclude the notes heading. Most of the other settings are in the Style tab. You can set it for left or right. You can set it for bullet or number. You can get rid of the bullets by making the bullet size 0. You can set the offset, whether or not you want it to have a border, box shadow, and the border radius. You can set the background color for the header. You can set the text color for the header, the typography, the padding. This is the icon that will be shown when it's collapsed here. One thing you notice is that when I'm moving between the table of contents and the settings, it's a little bit of a pain because it goes back to the list of widgets. Not a big deal. So let's change the body color to be a light blue instead of that orange. You have the option for an indicator style, so it can be a bar or an arrow or none. And I'll show that in a minute. It doesn't show in the editor here as you're doing it, but it shows when you pick something on the front end. And then you have some typography options. You can select the active color, for example, have some spacing options, and you have some options for the separators. And finally, you have some body style options. So let's save this and go preview it on the front end. Here it is. We can collapse it, we can open it. When we jump to a section, we see our indicator. But note that that doesn't follow as we scroll. If we go back to the page and check this on mobile, this is what it looks like here. It collapses down and opens like that. It might be nice on mobile if this were just an icon so that it wouldn't cover over quite as much content, but this works pretty well. So that's the Essential Add-ons version. Now let's take a look at the PowerPack version. Go into the Elementor editor. We'll search for Table of Contents and we'll look for the PP little indicator there and drop that in. And this is what that looks like by default. Like with Elementor Pro, we have the title and the option to pull it from the database dynamically. We can set the title. We have the include and exclude that works the same way. We can choose which tags are going to be picked up. We can specify a container. But here we have the options for none, numbers, or bullets. Again, if you click bullets, you can choose an icon, but we'll set it for none. And let's go and exclude this heading from the table of contents. We'll go to Advanced. We'll put in our class ID, and then we will go back up to the table of contents, and under Exclude, we'll add that. And we can see that it removed it from the list. Then under Additional Options, we have the option for word wrap to have it be collapsible, which we want, to set the icons for the open and close states, to set where we want it to collapse on by default, to have the hierarchical indentation view, to collapse subheadings. So these are all the same as with Elementor Pro. But now we have the option for sticky TOC on scroll. And when we click that, we get another panel down here and scroll to top. So when we do a sticky TOC on scroll, what's going to happen, let's scroll down some, is we see the table of contents here. Now if we want it to be like the essential elements, I think we'll need to change the offset and make it stick to the side, and maybe have it go up higher. And then we have some animation effects, and we have the z-index. We can disable the sticky TOC on different sizes if we want. I think this isn't very pleasing, so I think we need to go into the styling, and for sticky TOC we can change the width to be less and maybe have the background opacity so that we can see it here. Let's save that and go. As we scroll down, then we get it on the side here. Let's go back into the editor and let's take a look at this on mobile. You notice two things. One, that when we scroll down on mobile, it's not very pleasing. One thing, it comes across vertically like this instead of horizontally, so it kind of takes up more space. It'd be nice just to be an icon. So I'm not sure I would use this on mobile. If you do, then you're going to need to spend some time to style it and customize it. I think that for me, I would turn this off on mobile. So let's look at it again as mobile view and scroll down, and then we don't get that overlay. And then if we look at the scroll to top options, we can see that on mobile, this is kind of obnoxious. It overlays the content like that. But a nice thing is that they give us options by screen size of where we're going to position it. And when we go into the styling for the scroll to top, we can set it for a different size for mobile. So for example, it doesn't overlay as much content. Let's save that and go take a look on the front page. When we scroll down, we have the side TOC, and we can navigate using it. The last option is the Ultimate Add-ons widget. Let's go into the Elementor editor. Again, we'll search for table. And here we see their UAE tag on it. And we'll add that. And this is what that looks like by default. We can see it has a little more padding, and that they've separated some of the settings into different panels. So here's the title, and you have the option to choose it from the database. These are the tags you can pick up. You have the option for bullets, numbers, or none. You can enable a separator. To exclude headings, they tell you to add this class to the heading. So I'm going to copy that, and we'll go down to this heading, and we'll edit it. We'll edit it and add the heading in. And we see that it's been removed. Then there's collapse options. Yes, we want that option for it to be collapsible. And we can keep it collapsed initially if we want, but there's no option to do that by device size like we have with Elementor Pro or PowerPack. You can set the icon size and color. You have a scroll to top option, and you have a smooth scroll option for when you click the scroll to top button. You can set the size and color and background color of the scroll to top button, but note that there's no option to style that by device size like with PowerPack. So this is it here, and let's just take a quick look at it on mobile. This is what it looks like here. So it's not as big as the default PowerPack one, and if you wanted to, you could make it smaller. Then in styling, you can adjust the padding. I think I'll make the default padding a little less. You can adjust the title options, the separator. You can style the separator. And you can style the content. You can make a little less space between the content if you wanted. And you could change the text color. So let's save that one, and we'll go check that out on the front end. Notice that there's no border by default. Let's go back, and because it doesn't have a normal border option, but you can add one just with regular Elementor by going to the border panel and setting that you want a border. Then you can set the radius and other items like that if you want. Let's go back and look at our preview now. So there's the border. Here's our table of contents. So that's the ultimate add-ons for Elementor version. In discussion and conclusion, the real power of the table of contents widget or extension is in using it in a single template for a post type like posts, book reviews, etc., where you're going to have long-form content and where it makes sense to have a table of contents. Why? Because it's generally not a good idea to write long-form content in a page builder. Using something like a text widget for lots of content is painful. Also, using the built-in WordPress block editor future-proofs your content, its layout and styling. You can create a theme template and include the table of contents widget or turn on the extension for that content type, which makes more sense than enabling it globally and having a table of contents show up on something like your Contact Us page. If you want a sticky, collapsible sidebar table of contents, then the Essential Add-on solution would seem to be the way to go. The PowerPack Elements version would be more work to style and size for different screens, and when it closes, it's collapsed horizontally instead of getting out of the way. Remember, the Essential Add-ons version, though, has two limitations. It's not possible to exclude a heading, and you don't have the option to pull the table of contents title dynamically. These limitations might not matter to you, but it's good to know that they're there. If you want a regular top-of-page table of contents, then any of the three others would work: Elementor Pro, PowerPack Elements, and Ultimate Add-ons. Both PowerPack Elements and Ultimate Add-ons provide a few additional features over the Elementor Pro version. For example, if your theme doesn't have a back-to-top of page option, then it's nice to have that for long content. The PowerPack scroll to top was customizable by device type, which is nice. You would probably want to make it small for the Ultimate Add-ons version so it didn't cover up too much of the content on mobile. Do readers on mobile phones deserve a table of contents? Yes, I would avoid just turning it off for mobile. In fact, it may be more useful for them because it's harder to locate a particular piece of content when scrolling on a small screen size. There were several quirks for mobile use. The Essential Add-ons version would be nicer if on mobile there was the option to just show an icon. That would take up less space and wouldn't overlay and block as much content. When using the side sticky option of the PowerPack Elements widget, it would likewise be nicer if the title was shown vertically, and even better if it also had the option to collapse to an icon. However, using the PowerPack in place version, i.e. non-sticky, it does have the option to start close by device size, which is nice. The option with the Elementor Pro widget to be collapsed by device size is also nice. It was surprising that the Ultimate Add-ons version was all or nothing, start closed or open regardless of device size. That completes the walkthrough and comparison of the Elementor Table of Contents options. There's a text version of this review available on the Elementor 360 website, along with other tutorials, reviews, news, and content. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching.